I am Wilhelm Helsingius, and I have psychology and cognitive psychotherapy degrees. Welcome to the introduction of the Love Unconditionally handbook. This handbook is for you. For the part of you that wants something more from your relationships, more depth, more honesty, more meaning. For the part of you that longs to meet life with greater clarity, to navigate challenges with something that gives you direction and meaning, and to love unconditionally without losing yourself or making it to a transaction. It's also for the part of you that wants to grow in compassion, not just toward others, but toward yourself. And if you're skeptical, perhaps because you don't see my face, or because the voice you're hearing doesn't sound perfect, that's okay. I understand. Let me say this clearly. I'm a real person. This isn't AI generated, and it's not a performance. It's the result of real experience, real reflection, and real effort to live what I share. An injury to my vocal cords makes it difficult for me to speak for long. So I've found another way, and I'm grateful you're here, even if the voice you hear isn't flawless. The absence of video is intentional. You don't need to look at me to take in what matters. Sometimes, it's in those unseen moments that we hear the clearest. So listen as you walk, as you rest, as you wait, perhaps even as you wait for someone to change or for the right one to come into your life, or for something to shift in a relationship that feels stuck. And if part of you believes that one day, without effort, your partner will suddenly become who you need them to be, I want to say this. Start with yourself. Don't wait for them. They may never change. But you can. And when you do, everything else begins to shift too. These are things we should have learned early in life. In school. At home. Before we stepped into all the challenges we face as friends, parents, and partners. We spent years studying subjects, but no one taught us how to handle our thoughts. How we can feel our emotions without drowning in them or being led by them in ways that don't serve our life. How to stay when things get hard. How to leave when it's time. How to be with someone without losing our connection to what's authentic within us, or to our inner calm. One of the most essential truths is this. No one outside of you is responsible for what you feel inside. Even if your thoughts try to blame your partner, your friend, your child, your neighbor. What you feel begins within you. And that's where your power lives, too. Why didn't anyone say that the biggest obstacle to getting what we truly need is often the very idea of who we think we are? That self we try so hard to be, built from habits, patterns, old stories, and childhood survival strategies, is often what stands in the way of the connection we long for. This handbook is not about perfection. It's not about getting it all right. And it's certainly not about making you feel guilty if these ideas feel hard to live out. You can't fail at this. We're all learning. None of us ever arrive. And often, when we think we've arrived, that's where the real journey begins. So why did I write this? Because I wish someone had told me these things earlier. My life might have looked very different if I had known, even a little, about what it truly means to relate, to my authentic self and to something more real in others. It took me almost 40 years to learn these things. And I'm still learning. None of the insights here are mine alone. I'm deeply grateful to the authors, teachers, and voices who made them accessible. This is my way of passing that on. Because I believe these ideas matter for your well-being, your mental and physical health, your relationships, and your life. What you'll find here isn't theory. It's practice. Not something you have to master, but something you can return to, again and again. Because your peace and life is worth it. Your relationships are worth it. You are worth it. And no matter where you are right now, no matter how you feel, you don't need to be in a perfect place for these principles to make a difference. Even the smallest shift in awareness can bring more calm, more meaning, more space inside you. Even your body will feel the difference, because stress, as you may know, is one of the greatest burdens we carry. And peace is one of the greatest gifts we can offer ourselves. A commitment. These ways of approaching life might sound simple at first. And in many ways, they are. But to truly live them, to bring them into your everyday moments, your habits, your thoughts, your relationships, that's where the real challenge lies. Personally, I've experienced a quiet but powerful transformation. By returning to these principles again and again. Not perfectly. Not all at once. But honestly. And because of that, I've come to experience things I couldn't even imagine earlier in life. There's a sense of clarity, of stillness, and a kind of gratitude that runs deeper than words. That said, if you're currently in a place where you're simply trying to make it through the day, if you're feeling overwhelmed or unwell, this might not be the support you need right now. And that's okay. In that case, I gently encourage you to seek out someone who can walk beside you. A professional, a trusted guide, someone who can help you find steadier ground. There is no medal for surviving without support. Letting someone help you is not a weakness, it's wisdom. But if you feel ready, if you're curious, if there's a quiet willingness in you to explore something new, something that might shift how you relate to yourself, to others, and to life, then this handbook may serve you well. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more yourself. About allowing burdens to become insights. Obstacles to become invitations. And fear to become awareness. When you believe in something, a practice, a method, a way, that belief itself carries power. Whether it's therapy, meditation, yoga, cold water swimming, or any form of support you trust, your willingness to believe in its potential is part of what makes it something that helps you. This handbook isn't a replacement for therapy, but it can offer you tools to get to know yourself better on a deeper level, to gain more awareness and compassion, and to rediscover that you have far more choices than you may think. It can help you remember how much influence you truly have over your life, your health, your relationships, and perhaps even your sense of meaning. Even the simple act of trying, the desire to live by these principles, can spark a gentle and meaningful shift within you. a process that heals and brings you closer to what truly matters. If you carry inner wounds or heavy burdens, and most of us do, this might be the beginning of your path toward meeting and healing them. This handbook may guide you toward a place within yourself that's been quietly waiting for warmth, for caring, for understanding, for love. Wherever you're starting from, these practices can bring more meaning to your path. As you begin to live these ideas, not as rules, but as quiet reminders, you may begin to feel something shift. Even if your circumstances remain the same. Many people believe they don't need to change anything, that life is good enough. But often, that belief comes from never having experienced something different. Something true. Something more whole. If you want to invest in your emotional well-being, it's important to believe that your own steps, what you do from within, can be just as valuable as anything external. You are not powerless. You are not dependent on everything around you being perfect. There is strength in you that's easy to forget. I encourage you to listen to each part of this handbook more than once. Let the words settle. Not everything needs to be understood right away. Start with a light touch. Then come back, go deeper. Let it meet you where you are. These ideas may sound simple, but living them is a practice. And like anything worth learning, it takes time, intention, and patience. Since I was young, I've wished for a book like this, something to hold on to. A map. A foundation. I lost my father when I was 12. From that point on, I searched for something that makes sense. Something real. Something to build a life on. Something that could help me understand others and live with them in a way that felt good, meaningful, and honest. I believe our greatest challenge as humans is not technical. It's relational. How we live with one another. How we listen. How we see each other. How we care and how we consider each other. In a world that often feels chaotic, I believe we need this more than ever. We don't need more selfishness. We need more connection. Some professionals speak of healthy selfishness. But I'm not sure that exists. If they mean healthy boundaries, then yes, of course. That's necessary. But selfishness, the kind that closes the heart, that builds walls, that seeks short-term comfort over long-term truth, rarely gives us what we truly need. It may offer temporary relief, but it often distances us from the very nourishment we're longing for. Many people today are struggling to maintain love, struggling to find someone to love, struggling to feel alive, to feel well, to feel connected. We haven't survived as a species because we were selfish. We've survived and grown because we cared, because we stayed, because we reached out. And I believe, with all my heart, that the way we relate to one another can either wound us or heal us. About me. I want to share something with those of you who might imagine that I live a sheltered, quiet life, like someone untouched by hardship. A monk, perhaps. Removed from what most people go through. But that's not my story. When I was 7, I drowned. My father, the one I loved so dearly, brought me back. And 5 years later, I lost him. I was 12. And I needed him more than ever. School was never a safe place for me. I struggled profoundly with reading and writing. So much so that I had to repeat a year just to have a chance at finishing. And alongside the academic challenges there was something deeper. A quiet shame that stayed with me. A fear of conflict so strong that it made it almost impossible for me to stand up for myself, or to believe that my needs mattered as much as anyone else's. Music became a refuge. A place where I could feel a little more whole. A little more capable. But then came the injury. A hearing trauma that left me with constant, piercing tinnitus, a sound I've lived with for 28 years. I've had most of my waking hours industrial-grade ear protection just to cope with my very sensitive hearing. Despite my difficulties, I made it to university. But even there, the path wasn't clear. A professor went out of his way to stop me. Not because of my grades, they were excellent. But because he believed someone wearing hearing protection wasn't worthy of earning a psychology degree. I raised my oldest child alone after his mother passed away from cancer. And not long after, I was diagnosed with cancer myself. I underwent surgery, and I live under medical surveillance still today. Perhaps I do carry some understanding of what it means to walk through deep and painful trials. But I don't know what you think is needed, what it takes, in your eyes, to truly meet and understand another person on a deeper level. We so easily believe we understand what someone else is going through, but the truth is, we can't. And that's exactly why we might come close to true understanding only by embodying unconditional compassion, by staying genuinely curious, open-minded, and humble, knowing that we can try, but never fully grasp another's inner world. I hope that what I've gone through can serve as something that helps me be present, not only with those I meet in person, but also through the words you listen to in this handbook, in a way that feels genuine and grounded in reality, rather than rooted in theory detached from the everyday lives we actually live. I've come to experience that adversity can be something other than just bad, not merely something that breaks you down or burdens you, but something that can build you up or deepen you, bringing you back to something more real, something you've actually been all along. And I don't say this to highlight what I've done, but with humble gratitude and because I truly believe you can do it too. I don't know how I would have coped if I hadn't learned to ask for help. If I hadn't discovered the ideas and approaches that I now share in this handbook. I'm grateful I didn't believe the image I had of myself back then, or the one others tried to give me. If I had believed it, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have had the strength to continue. But I did continue. And I kept discovering parts of myself that I didn't know existed. Parts that were stronger, more real, more open, more alive. And with each challenge, the ones that felt unbearable, the ones I thought I wouldn't survive, I was invited to grow. Not by choice, but by necessity. And somehow, those experiences gave me something I would never trade for anything. That awareness, that hard-earned understanding, has helped me show up for the people I love in ways that truly matter. Why I chose to write this. For a long time, I've wished I could find a book to give to my children. Something I could place in their hands and say, "Here. This might help." A guide. Not for how to succeed or perform, but for how to live. How to build a good, meaningful life. How to create relationships that are mutual, secure, and real. But I never found a book that included the things I felt were most important and also offered practical support, the kind that speaks to real, everyday life. Not just insight or theory, but something you could actually use. So I decided to write it myself, and from the very beginning, it was clear this should be free and available to anyone. Now, how does it feel to listen to this? You'll notice that some parts of the handbook will speak to you more than others. Some sections may feel heavy or slow. Others will feel clear, energizing, easy to take in. That's natural. I could also offer you a map, a list of each section, so you can skip around. And you're free to do that. But often, the chapters we feel least drawn to are the ones that have the most to offer us if we meet them with openness and curiosity. I've sometimes compared this handbook to a pyramid. In the beginning, when you first start climbing, it may feel hard. You might wonder why you even began. Everything feels uphill. But as you move forward, step by step, the view begins to shift. You start to see more clearly. The steps feel steadier. And near the top, something changes. There's a sense of stillness. A wider view. A clarity and meaning you didn't know was possible or existed. You realize the early effort wasn't wasted. It was necessary, because it laid the foundation. And now, what once felt difficult feels deeply meaningful. This handbook might feel heavy at times, not only because it invites you to face things that may feel uncomfortable, but because I've done my best to offer what truly matters, without adding anything that doesn't serve you. But what matters most to me is that this doesn't feel like a psychology book. I hope it feels more like a companion, something that offers you real, tangible ways to relate, to be, and to find deeper meaning in life. Something that helps you feel a little more at home in yourself, in your mind, and in your relationships. Something that opens the door to what you truly need, and perhaps even to more than you ever thought you were capable of getting. If you stay with it, even through the parts that feel a bit dry, slow, or challenging, my hope is that you'll arrive at something that nourishes you. A sense that what you were searching for was never really missing, only waiting. Because everything you need is already within you. But there are no shortcuts. You'll need to practice what's offered here. Not just read. Not just agree. It's easy to say, "I already know this." But knowing is not the same as living by it, and especially something entirely different from living by it unconditionally. So allow yourself to try. To stumble. To get it wrong sometimes. That's how we grow. That's how we learn. And maybe most important of all, let yourself be affected. Let these ideas touch you. Even if it feels uncomfortable. Even if something inside resists. Dare to ask, what might these ideas mean for me? And what could become possible if I gave them a real chance? You've now reached the end of this introduction. In the episode 1, we'll begin the journey, starting with your attitude toward life and existence, and self-discipline as an act of love toward yourself.